Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I have a lot of conflicting emotions right now. I'm upset that I didn't get to see Joel Embiid play, and I was informed by Doc Rivers prior to the game that he was a go. So when I heard that news, I got so excited. There was this gut feeling all day long that he wasn't going to play. And the only reason why I felt that way is because I was setting myself up for the worst case scenario. I was preparing myself that he wasn't going to play, just so when the news broke that I wouldn't be as devastated. So maybe that's a flawed mindset. Maybe that's a poor way to think. It's always looking at the negative angle in that scenario. It kind of gives off that vibe. But I just had this awful gut feeling that I wouldn't see Embiid play. This matchup was highlighted. This was one of those games where you look at it on the calendar and the schedule, and it's something that really gets your juices flowing. It's something that is a test. You get to learn more about your team when you go up against a squad like the Utah Jazz. So knowing that, and knowing that it would be such a high, intense game, the fact that I didn't witness Embiid, and the fact that my emotions got toyed with there. Doc said he was a go. All right, baby. You get the popcorn going. You put the bag in the microwave. You hit 2 minutes. You put the butter on top, and you load it up where the popcorn gets soggy. You get a fat soda, so when you plop on your couch and you hit the recliner, your feet flies up, and here you go. You don't get a napkin. No. Why would you get a napkin? You could just wipe your hands off on your pants. You can get the greasy remote going and then get yelled at and bitched at because the next time someone picks up the remote, it's going to be a little greasy. That was my night. That was my night that I really wanted, I should say. But it wasn't the night that I got. So when Embiid wasn't available, I was crushed. Even though I prepared myself mentally for it, when Doc said he was a go, I flipped. I completely flipped. My emotions were the complete opposite. I was ready to rock and roll. And it got yanked right out of my chest. My heart, it was filled with love. And Doc just took it from me. Late scratch. Damn, I wanted to see him go up against Rudy Gobert. So I was definitely not happy, and I guess I should say I was upset with how the Joel Embiid approach occurred with this team. Where I was pissed off was the bench and the lack of production. Where I was happy, Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. Now, the Ben Simmons storyline, we all know what it is. When you see him give you 42, 12, and 9 and play that downhill and get to the free throw line that many times, the first thing I think of is, why? Why? Why can't you do this all the time? Because you can. And here goes the Ben Simmons lovers. Oh, you idiots out there. You're all stupid. Look at what he can do. Okay, keep that same energy. This is a fantastic effort by Ben Simmons. And it wasn't just because Joel Embiid wasn't there. I hate that. Well, he only scored 42 because of no Joel. Yes, there is truth to that. But screw the points. It's not about the points for me, and it never is about the points for me. It's about the will. It's about the mentality. You can play downhill significantly more than you do when Joel Embiid is out there scoring 35 points. It can happen. Stop telling me it can't. It can. The way that he was using that little hook shot. The way that he was getting to the charity stripe. Oh, he was hitting them too, may I add. Does Joel Embiid affect Ben Simmons being able to knock down his free throws? The answer is no. So why? Why was the last time I saw a game like this when Jared Dudley pissed you off when he played for the Brooklyn Nets? That was the last time I can remember him going to this extreme. It should never be that much of a gap. It should never be that much of a window. And if you could think of one other one in between that time span, congratulations. Still not enough. Ben is capable of doing this. And to be satisfied with what he does in other games that isn't this, Come on. That's a flawed mindset. It really is. I don't need 42 from Ben. I don't expect 42 from Ben. I don't demand 42 from Ben. But what I demand is the way that he was looking at the basket, the way that he had the idea of, I am going to score. Now, he had double figures in the first quarter, and the pace of the game, that is a Ben Simmons game. The way that this team, this Jazz team, just runs up and down the floor and jacks threes, they had 45 three-point attempts. So the pace of the game against the Jazz, that gives Ben Simmons the opportunity. And that's why, especially early, I was having trouble trying to really embrace what was going on. I was trying to analyze it, and the only thing I could come up with was, this is somewhat irrelevant, because that pace of play will never compare to a pace of play in the playoffs. And that's why I truly question this Utah Jazz team. Now, it does sort of have the Golden State Warriors in its prime kind of feel, but they don't have Steph Curry, and they don't have Klay Thompson, and they don't have Kevin Durant, so it's not the same. But it does seem like they tried to replicate that. They tried to duplicate what the Golden State Warriors do, or did, I should say. I guess they still try and do it, but without Klay Thompson, the Golden State Warriors obviously now are nowhere near what they once were. I don't think that style of play will be beneficial to the Jazz when we talk about crunch time and when we talk about May basketball. Although this season, with the 72-game season and the late start, it's going to bleed into the summer. You know what I'm talking about, though. As the game went on, while it was still an open floor and it was filled with transition, open court style of play, I did appreciate that Ben kept his foot on the gas, because last game he had 16 points in the, was it 16 in the first half, and then he finished with 2 in the second half for a whopping 18 points, or it might have been 14 points in the first half, 2 in the second for a total of 16. Regardless, though, I was looking for that. Would we see a scenario where Ben Simmons didn't fully keep everything full throttle? And I think it's 100% fair to analyze this game afterwards, appreciate what Ben Simmons has done in this effort, and still be disgusted that you don't get this enough. What you saw out of Ben Simmons was special. What you saw out of Ben Simmons is what changes this franchise and elevates them to a much scarier team, a dominating force, and he can continue to have this type of attitude with Joel Embiid next to him. Maybe that's 20 points instead of 13. You see my problem here? He was scoring 13 points earlier in the season, which was a big dip from what he averaged in years past. I'm not asking for 42, but to say, hey, Ben, if you hit your free throws, you average what, 16 points before? 16 points in previous years. If you just knock down more of your free throws, playing the same level of aggressiveness, you'd be at 20. I'm not begging for the guy to average something so outrageous. This Ben was destroying the opponent. Do it more. If you go back and watch, though, he did struggle in late possessions to score. I thought he relied more on the hook shot than he did the downhill, lower the shoulder, and exploit the matchup that he had. There were some moments down the stretch that wasn't so pretty, and Dwight Howard being out there maybe clogging some things up, and the spacing was an issue. But once again, if I point that out, God forbid, I can't point something like that out, I'd be an asshole because I don't appreciate Ben Simmons enough. No, I do. I recognize that what he did out there was unbelievable. There's not many guys in the league that can give you 42. And oh, by the way, it's not like he's jacking up threes to score those 42. But I was always concerned about this theory, and I wonder if this just puts it out there on the map. Similar to when Brad Stevens exposed Ben Simmons, everybody figured it out. Everybody used that blueprint. My biggest fear is, in the playoffs, teams might actually allow Ben to score. Why? twos for threes. In today's era of basketball, if a team is going to score two after two after two after two after two, it's only going to get you so far. Now, the difference, once again, is you'd have Joel Embiid, which is a different type of force, and that changes the dynamic. But I do think it's fair to just throw it out there. If a team is willing to allow Ben Simmons to score, you would take that over him passing it out to guys, to him giving it to Joel Embiid, to have Seth Curry have wide open looks. Even though right now it's ugly from the shooters, they still shoot a decent percentage where they do knock down shots. Right now it's not their gorgeous stretch by any means, but still, if you're looking at it from a logic standpoint, playing the numbers game, first off, it's not as if Ben Simmons is the most fantastic finisher in the world. Even after tonight's performance, it's not like that's his strongest area of his game. Play the numbers. Play the analytics. Look, I'll give Ben Simmons that attempt. I'll give him the 6-footers, the 7-footers, baby hooks all night long. Even if he does make those, as long as we counter with our own threes, we'll be good to go. I always wonder if that's a philosophy of an opponent as we move forward. But the difference is you got to be hitting your threes the way that the Utah Jazz were hitting those threes, and that was unbelievable. Jordan Clarkson had 40 points off the bench, and that's bench scoring, by the way. That's how you do it. Someone asked me earlier today if Shake Milton was a candidate for the sixth man. First off, that's laughable as hell to even think that that would be a reality. But the answer is go watch someone like Jordan Clarkson and then come back to me and ask me the same question. He had 8 threes. Guess how many three-pointers the Philadelphia 76ers had? The answer is 8. He had just as many threes as the entire Philadelphia 76ers team. That's not going to get the job done. It really isn't. I feel I'm not giving Tobias Harris enough love yet. He had 36 and 10. The end of the second quarter, it got real sloppy. Ben had some turnovers, and the Jazz went on this run to somewhat separate themselves from the Sixers. But as that second half went on, I thought the aggressiveness of Ben and Tobias and the efficiency of both of them really did allow the Sixers to somewhat be involved. I really thought that they would squeak that out. Now, you had Furkan missing a bunch of threes, and I was waiting for Doc Rivers to put in Isaiah Joe. He finally did. It was funny. After Furkan actually made a nice play, although I would actually say the Jazz just threw it right into the hands of Furkan Korkmaz right around the half-court logo. But he had this behind-the-back pass for a layup, and as soon as that happened, he yanked his ass and put him on the bench for Isaiah Joe. Not that I anticipated Isaiah Joe to step in and become some stud that changed the game tremendously, but it's pretty clear and obvious when Furkan Korkmaz can't get it going, it's time to get a new look out there. It's time to get a new face out there, and you need to try something completely different, because when Furkan's off, you cannot play him. You cannot play him. Do you hear me? Hideous looking shots. Brutal looking shots. Bad basketball out of Furkan Korkmaz. After the one explosive game he gets, here goes all the Furkan supporters, right? Then there's a stretch of games, I should say, 3, 4, 5 games of just the most hideous basketball you've ever seen, and it's zip of the mouth. Interesting how that works. You know, it's funny. I was asked about Dwight Howard and the big man role on Coffee with Brodes, which airs Monday through Friday. It's actually a live stream, so I guess airs is the right word, but it's a live stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. At Brodes81 on Twitter, Sports Talk with Brodes on Twitch, and then, of course, the Sports Talk with Brodes YouTube channel, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., Monday through Friday. I hang out in the mornings and I have my coffee. I was asked about Dwight Howard, and the question was, is Dwight Howard going to be a good enough big man? Is he going to be a good enough 5 for the playoffs? And I brought up that, well, if Joel Embiid's going to rock 38 minutes, you're not asking for that much out of Dwight Howard. And you could put Ben Simmons at the 5 for, let's say, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. offense, and then that limits Dwight Howard to 7 or so. You might not have to truly rely on Dwight Howard that much when things really matter. That's kind of my point I was bringing up. And in that moment, I thought to myself, I didn't say it out loud just because Mike Scott hasn't been a player that you could rely on this season, and he hasn't been available. He's been injured, and even when he was on the floor, it's not as if Mike Scott has been someone that has been able to deliver for you. So I didn't want to mention, yeah, you could put Mike Scott out there at the 5. I know Brett Brown did that in the past. I never thought that they would really use it on this team, but I just thought it was ironic that in the back of my head, I was thinking Mike Scott at the time. I didn't want to say it because I didn't think it would be a reality, and that same night, you have Mike Scott getting thrown into the lineup, and I thought maybe it was something to do with spreading out the spacing a bit more and just trying to, because Dwight Howard would clog up the paint, and he doesn't work with the starting rotation. You've tried that multiple times, and it's not as if you have many options after that, so I don't really fault Doc Rivers for doing that. I think it's clear and obvious at this point that when it comes to Dwight Howard, it's bench roll minutes. This whole starter thing when Joel Embiid isn't available, it doesn't work. It's not successful. What is successful, though, is Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, Orbit Energy and Power is home to your solar experts in both residential and commercial projects. They are dedicated to making sure your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. They even take care of all the permitting and fees right there in the office, saving you a hassle of all the extra paperwork. Their solar program eliminates your electric bill completely by offering flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. There's no risk and no need for investment. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check out their information. It's all down below. I thought it was crazy that Rudy Gobert barely did anything offensively without Joel Embiid in the mix. I thought that would open up the floodgates for him just to, produce a little bit more offensively, considering the best big man in basketball was not on the opposing side. But that wasn't the case. Mitchell, I mentioned Clarkson. He was unbelievable, knocking down all these shots with confidence, with swag, giving some stare downs after making a big bucket in the corner late for 3. But Mitchell, this is the one thing that I'm not going to say pisses me off with Mitchell, but he's a hate the face. There's no denying it. But 9 of 24, 2 of 8 from 3, 24 points. That's not efficient. That's not efficient basketball. I just can't stand the guy. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. My bias plays a role. And I think it's because he's such a loser when all the Rookie of the Year stuff happened and he's wearing sweatshirts saying not a rookie and this and that. You're a loser, dude. Really, talk about being an ass. Talk about being a bum in those moments. Talk about true character showing. Really, you care that much. Oh, he's not a rookie. How about instead of saying he's not a rookie, you play better. Go out and win it. Go out and win it. He's not a rookie. He didn't play. He wasn't available to play. I don't know what you would want him to qualify as. That's how the league has always been. That's sports in general. If you're drafted and you don't play a whole year, the first year you play, you are a rookie. Is it that hard to comprehend? It really shouldn't be that difficult to process through your brain. You wanted to win it? Here's something. Be better. That's all. That's all it takes. As a burp comes up, I thought it was throw up. Because think about Donovan Mitchell. Just thinking about it, he makes me want to throw up. What else happened late? O-Neale had a couple late threes. I thought the Sixers, I'm not going to say they forced it by trying to go zone, but with the team that's shooting a lot of threes, and that's what they want to do, that is their identity. Let's jack up 75 billion threes in a game. I thought it somewhat benefited the Utah Jazz and what they were trying to get at times. Now, there was a play by Matisse Thybulle that got a slam when they did get into the zone, but I still didn't love the philosophy there. And look, I understand trying something new. You got to try and get stops. You've seen the zone work in the past. I just think it probably wasn't the look. I'm not acting as if there were a billion other options out there. You're missing Joel Embiid. Your bench isn't stepping up. Some of your starters aren't performing at a rate that you need them to perform at. Danny Green going 1 for 6 from the field. Seth only giving you 1 3-pointer. Like, that is not good enough. So the zone is not the reason why they weren't able to get the goal accomplished here. I'm fully aware of that. And as much as I'm frustrated with Ben, I'm fully aware that his effort tonight is not a reason why they lost. Late down the stretch, you can point out that there are issues there that relate to big picture. But with Ben, I can't think anything other than big picture. And that's the right way to view it, to be honest with you. Some might not feel that way. Some might say, well, embrace the journey, embrace the season, watch the team play, watch the team grow. I tried that. With Ben, sorry, this is a unique player. This isn't your standard player, your average guy. And I'm not saying average guy in terms of what league average is and scoring points-wise. I'm talking about this is a superstar type player that has one of the most unique skill sets in the world, has one huge flaw, is an elite defender. You can't make up this Ben Simmons story. You can't make up this Ben Simmons drama. He's proven that he can do this, but you don't see it enough. And you don't see it in the playoffs. So to act as if all that doesn't matter and I should just be 100% satisfied because of this one game against the Jazz where they lost, but he played strong and really helped them get into it. No, I honestly look at it the other way. How can you be this dominant, this lethal, but have so much time in between this happening again? How does that happen? How is this not more consistent? And I'm really hoping we talk about this road trip being a wake-up call. I hope this game is a wake-up call for Ben. Yo, Ben, hello? You there? Well, this game should be there. Your game, your style of play that you showed us tonight. It should be there. Non-stop. It's crazy. What else is crazy? All of you guys and your anytime hotline calls that I love listening to. So without further ado, let's hop right into what the people had to say.
Hey, Brodes. Tough loss today. Well, tonight. Love the effort, though. Ben, he was amazing. Tobias, with a quiet 36 and 10. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not really mad about this loss since Embiid was out. Hopefully we can get him back next game. I don't know what's going on with that back. But yeah, a 1-4 trip. That's not good. And our defense and the bench, really, I don't know. It's a struggle.
They actually went 1-3 on this 4-game road trip, not 1-4 total on this West Coast swing because they lost to, what did they start with? Sacramento, then they played Portland, then they had the Suns, and then they had the Utah Jazz. So it was 1-3 total on this road. Yeah, the defense, it's been a problem, and then people talk about it all the time that the defense doesn't travel as well, right? Your defense at home is significantly different than your defense on the road, and there were fans in the stands. You heard the boos, you heard the cheers, you heard the excitement a bit from the fan. What was there, about 4,000 fans or so? I actually thought that it was noticeable. It's wild to think that 4,000 fans in a 25,000 person arena can actually show you some sort of passion in there, but I actually heard it multiple times. When shots were being made, you heard the crowd give a rush, and you heard and saw, actually. You saw guys with their masks on in the crowd cheering, getting hype, and being active. So I thought that was an awesome touch. It does change the viewership of it. It does change the entertainment value, knowing that there is some sort of noise in the arena. I'm not mad at this loss either, though, and the caller kind of touched on that, where without Joel Embiid, there's only so much that you can expect. And that's why I started the show off the way that I did. I feel happy, because I loved Ben's game and I loved Tobias's game and I love the fact that, they left everything out there. It's hard for me to look at Ben and Tobias and say anything other than you gave me everything that you had and I can fall asleep knowing that I'm satisfied based off of those two guys and the effort level and what they brought to the table. But I'm really upset that I didn't get to watch Joel Embiid play in such a key moment, in such a big game. This is the one where the back stiffness is showing up. And look, who am I to really question how bad it is or if it's good enough? But all I'm saying is I've seen him fight through back stiffness games this season for opponents not named the Utah Jazz. I've seen him go through, warm-ups with a back and then still battle through it to play a team that doesn't have much power, and he was able to go out and deliver. Is there a reason why? Is there a correlation between going up against Rudy Gobert and this is the game that they decide to hold him back and not play him? I don't know. I mean, it could seriously be, hey, his back is hurting him and it's unfortunate and it's not like we want it to be this way, but this is how it is. The pain is there. The discomfort is there. It just so happens that it lined up against Rudy Gobert. But I am just raising the question. That's all. I think it is absolutely okay to raise the question. Why tonight? Because this year it's different. This year he battles through the back stiffness. Why this game all of a sudden is it the one that he's not playing? So I'm upset from that angle. I'm crushed from the bench angle. Tyrese Maxey, you're putting a lot on the kid. You really are. I think there's so many moments where you're begging this kid to just attack the rim and try and score. It's tough to put that type of pressure on a young kid to be the guy who can really be the only one to create on that second unit on the bench. Hey, Tyrese, go out there and just try and score. It's so hard to do. So I'm happy. I'm sad. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. I'm satisfied. I'm all these. They're all jumbled up inside of me and sitting right here in my heart. And I'm wearing it on the sleeve, So it's like, I don't really know how to feel, but I know I'm not mad at the loss because the circumstances said it was going to be a loss.
This team needs to get back home as soon as possible because, quite frankly, I'm sick of staying up so late to watch them fail over and over and over again. Superhuman effort from Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris tonight, but I'll say it once, I'll say it again. This team, as of right now, has major issues defensively. 134 points to the Utah Jazz, 40 points to a bona fide scrub in Jordan Clarkson. I don't care if Embiid's out of the game. It's not like they're going up against Anthony Davis or any other big man in the league. This team is virtually non-existent from a perimeter defending end. The amount of wide open looks I saw in this game was quite frankly disgusting.
Well, it's just the style of play that the Jazz play at. They push the pace so fast and they push the pace so quickly that they get all these wide open looks. And I do think it matters that Joel Embiid is not there defensively. And they have had bad moments with him out there too. It's hard to deny. I mean, I can't deny that. It's hard to go against that. So I'm not going to act as if this team is perfect defensively, but I don't think that that's their biggest issue. I think when they are willing to clamp down fully healthy, like this is the thing. This pace, it's non-existent in playoff basketball. There's no playoff NBA games that's ever played at that pace. So to think that that pace relates to anything we're going to see when it matters, I have a hard time putting that together. I really do. Now, if I'm proven wrong, then fine. I will admit that I made a mistake. I will go back and say, look, when we talked about this against the Jazz, I apologize. If this is something that they could sustain long term and truly, truly play that quickly, that fast, to get that many wide open threes, I'd find that hard to believe that it happens, but I will admit that if that ends up occurring, that I'll go back on what I said, and I will apologize. But I find it very hard to believe. The Houston Rockets tried something very similar with all this spacing, and the difference is the Houston Rockets at the time didn't have a Rudy Gobert. They didn't have your real center. They tried it with something else. They did have a run with Clint Capella, and they tried it as well with jacking up a bunch of threes, but they weren't able to finish the job. I don't know, man. And you call Jordan Clarkson a bona fide scrub? Not this year. No. Jordan Clarkson has had a sensational season this year. Not this year. He's been key. He's been dynamite for this Utah Jazz team. But I think this is regular season basketball. I really do. Just like I question at times the Sixers. What are they? Can this really relate to playoff basketball? I literally question that all the time. I say the same thing about this Utah Jazz team because that style of play, I don't think that works.
What's going on, bro? I'm proud of the way the guys, at least fought. Ben Simmons was awesome. Tobias Harris was awesome. But, bros, I need your help on this one because you're sort of my, mental health therapist on this one. Furkan Korkmaz, I cannot stand him. It's so frustrating. I'm sitting here on my couch watching this game, and all I can think about is just how much I hate watching Furkan Korkmaz right now. I want him off the team. He should get waived. I don't think any NBA team should even take a chance on him. Isaiah Joe should take his minutes. Absolutely ridiculous. He was awful. Ben Simmons was great. Proud of the way these guys fought. That's all I got for you.
I appreciate the Furkan Korkmaz slander. Hey, if somebody else wants to do it, by all means, I'm here. I'm your outlet. If you want to rip Furkan Korkmaz, maybe we should rephrase and rename the Anytime Hotline to the I Hate Furkan Korkmaz Hotline. I don't know, but I do know that it's pitiful and it's unplayable. Now, the problem is, while we're all screaming for Isaiah Joe, and I think Isaiah Joe can groom into something special, I'm not ready to rely on Isaiah Joe in big minutes. Not that I am ever going to tell you that I'm going to rely on Furkan Korkmaz. I just, here's the thing, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it is a reality. With Shake being out, I do feel that Furkan's getting thrown into a role that doesn't really benefit him and it doesn't suit him best. So now he has to do things, whether it's have the ball in his hands more, and he's trying to put the ball on the floor, and he's trying to do too much, and I really do think that is a product of not having Shake Milton. And if Shake Milton is out there, well, then Furkan can get back to, just camping out in the corner and taking shots and just being that version of himself. I do feel like there's added pressure for him to do certain things with the ball in his hands because of not having that true point guard to help him out in the secondary unit. And that's right. I actually just looked at this objectively and made a point to defend Furkan Korkmaz. What the fuck is going on?
What's up, Brodes? That was an interesting game, I thought. No Embiid, so no expectations going in. Ben Simmons had a career night, great night from him. And they just need shooting, and right when Furkan Korkmaz came in and that bench unit came in, went right downhill. You can't have Massey, Thibault, Furkan, Dwight. You can't have them all out there together. There's absolutely no shooting. We need way more shooting. I would like a George Hill or any type of shooters we need. And Utah, I thought, was good, but if they're cold one night, they lost because they shot 45 threes, and that's literally all they do.
It is. It's all they do, and I don't think that it's a sustainable way of winning basketball games in playoffs. The all-bench lineup, for the most part, yeah, that's something that Doc Rivers has used all season long for the most part, and there's times where he goes all-bench plus Tobias. But at times, Tobias Harris needed a rest, and this is where not having Embiid, not having Shake Milton, that absolutely crushes you. It really does. You mentioned George Hill. That was a name that's being rumored around for the Sixers to go out and grab. I would be totally satisfied with him. DeLon Wright is another name. That is a guy that I am absolutely intrigued by. Those are the type of players, I think, that you are going to try and attack, and you can question if that's going to be enough or not, but it definitely helps. There's no denying that adding a player like that, veteran players that can bring you another element that this team needs, it's going to at least put you in the right direction, and you got to do something because the holes are showing and the flaws are showing, and I just kind of want to do this. I'm going to end it on this. There was a stretch in the beginning of the season where this team was so damn good, and everyone was foaming out the mouth, and the saliva was running down their chin because all they saw was a team that just won so many damn games. And I said, cool the Jets. Cool the Jets. And now everybody's up in arms saying that this team's not good enough, this team, that. I tried telling you in the beginning of the year. First off, the teams they were playing against sucked. They weren't really getting truly tested. Now, that's not to take away from their good wins. They did beat the Boston Celtics in a couple of games. No Jason Tatum, but they took care of business. They beat the Lakers. The Lakers had a nice surge late, but they held on, and Tobias Harris had a big shot to help win. I'm not claiming that they stink. All I said was cool the Jets early on. And people didn't like that. Well, I was telling you for a reason. Now Seth Curry's come back to life. Now this team, it shows its flaws a bit. I always go back to this. You don't fix the dumpster fire of last year with one trade, with two trades. It takes a long time. I mean, maybe a long time's too harsh of a statement, but it takes time. And you kind of have to roll with the punches. Daryl Morey's good. He's not that good. No one's that good. Nearly impossible to turn yourself from last year to a championship winning team within a snap of the fingers. It's something that I will live by. Not that that's a hot take. Thank you guys so much for listening. Love doing this every single damn day. Big news coming with Sports Talk with Brodes and Brodes Media as we are transforming into Brodes Media now. So much coming in the next couple of weeks. I can't wait to share the news with you. But until then, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you next time.